علمي من الرحمن ذي الآلاء بالله حزت الفضل لا بدهائي كيف الوصول إلى مدارج شكره نثني عليه وليس حول ثنائي.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our dear viewers, welcome to another episode of the Philosophy of the Teachings of Islam, a program in which we review the masterpiece of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, Islami Usul Ki philosophy, that is, the philosophy of the teachings of Islam. As we've been answering, and we are still answering, the questions or the subjects or themes that were set by the moderators of the conference. And that is the main reason as to why the promised Messiah was also invited and wrote this book that was read on this conference. And we've seen a lot of many things that God has granted us to do, that God has prohibited us to do, as explained in the book by the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam. And one of the prohibitions was the prohibition from swine, that is pork. Sheikh Sahib, my name is Kadek Mumin, and with me is Sheikh Ahmed Zaki. What did the promised Messiah explain towards the prohibition of swine?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Our respected and very cherished viewers will remember and recall that we spoke in the previous episode that there is a way where the body and the physical actions of man affects the soul. And there is also a way that the soul also affects the physical body of mankind. It is also true that whatever we eat physically does have an effect on our body. That is why the promised Messiah alayhi salam also took up a subject while answering the very first question or subject or theme that was raised by the organizers of that conference, explaining the physical, moral, and the spiritual state of man. Now, whatever we eat, of course, we nourish the physical body with that food which we eat physically. And it's also true that it has an effect on our spirituality. So we know very well that, as the promised Messiah also said, that the whole Quran told us that wala tusrifu, kulu washrabu wala tusrifu, that eat and drink, but do not exceed limits. In that, do not exceed limits in the tafsir, in one of the explanations, says that do not exceed limits in eating one type of food. For example, you will be, if you observe, you will know that those people who are addicted to eating meat, every time and then they have that aggressive nature and bravery. And you can see the animals that eat fresh, how they are. So that's the nature. If a person also is eating only one type of food, which is fresh meat, that is the nature which he will take. And then those people who eat vegetables, they will have such a kind, an easy nature, meek, let me say, such a nature that is tender. And in fact, you can also see this from the animals that eat vegetable, from animals that eat grass. You say a cow. Its nature is not like that of a lion, which feeds on other animals. But God Almighty desired that man should have these qualities in him to be exercised at their appropriate time, in an appropriate way. So you will have sometimes, or sometime where you will need to be aggressive and brave. And sometimes you need to be very calm and simple in nature. That's why you should eat while balancing your, let me say, a balanced diet. Now the Prophet Messiah alayhi salam took up a subject of eating pork. Why the Holy Quran prohibited the eating of pork? You know, God uses the word khinzir in Arabic. It is a combination of two words, as the Prophet Messiah says. He says that the Arabic word of swine is khinzir, which is a compound of khins and ara. The combination of the two words khins and ara will give us the Arabic word used for pig, which is khinzir. The word khins, only khins, means bad. And ara means I see. So khinzir means I see it bad. That is the name of that animal. And also in the Hindu language, it is called suar. So it was just like copied from the Arabic, from the Arabic language, because su also means bad. And from ara, suar, it also means I see it bad. So in the writings of the Promised Messiah, he also told us, even in pre-Islamic times, the Greek physician had opined that the flesh of this animal practically damages the faculty of modesty and fosters shamelessness. Now, this is where the Promised Messiah wants us to understand that it is not only that he is explaining it to him, but even the Greek physician, that if somebody is addicted to, is used or eats pork, it has the way it damages, particularly the faculties of modesty in him and fosters shamelessness. That is why God Almighty told or commanded the Muslims not to use the flesh of swine, the flesh of pig. Because, you know, even in our language, we say busy. You know, if you see the combination of the words themselves, will be like as if they communicate the nature of that animal. And this is one animal also that, as the Greek people had already put it forward to us, had showed us that it is shameless. You know, it is an animal that even eats its own kids when they are still alive. You know, when it is alive and it gives birth when it's hungry, then it intends to eat its own young ones. So such nature, if one does not refrain from using the flesh of this animal, gradually his nature, his modesty, and the shamelessness will overtake all other qualities of him. So in so doing, God told the believers that leave this animal, do other work. Because not every, once I was talking to someone who knew the Holy Quran, and he was telling me that, but your God told us that he created everything on this earth for the benefit of man. I told him, yes, but not everything that benefits man should be eaten. Some things are benefiting man in other ways, not to nourish your body. Because what you are eating, actually, the body also takes some portion of it within itself. So physically, you will be having the qualities of that thing you are eating. He said that if you see such animals that eat vegetable, eat grass, eat those other things, they will be calm. Take an example of a cow. It is bigger than a lion, but you see it's calm. Even man commands it. You see a very small child commanding it, rearing big animals in their numbers. But this is not true with a lion, because it feeds on such things that makes it aggressive, that makes it brave. But what God likes from us, that all these faculties, they should be in man in a balanced way, so that man can exercise bravery and aggressiveness at its appropriate time and appropriate place. And when there is no need for you to be aggressive, to be annoyed, then you have to be calm and you have to be humble.
Our viewers, you have to eat, and you have to know that whatever you eat should be in line with your gradual progress as you grow up. If you want to be like a lion, eat what a lion eats. If you want to be calm, eat what God has told us to eat, and observe what God has told us to observe. Now, we have seen that there are two moral qualities in which the promised Messiah has described.
Yes,
two
please.
types of moral qualities. That is, one, that a person discards evil, and even the moral qualities that enable him to be good. Sheikh Sahib, when I read this, I understand it just on its surface. May you let me understand it deep with our viewers?
The words of the promised Messiah themselves are, and I quote, moral qualities follow under two heads. First, the moral qualities that enable a person to discard evil. And the second, those moral qualities that enable him to do good. I think now now here the promised Messiah alayhi salam is telling us about the moral qualities. They have two categories. The category of such moral qualities that one does and they prevent him from doing good, but from doing evil. But not doing evil itself is nothing. Not doing evil itself is nothing. It is just like someone who washes a plate. But merely washing a plate need not make you satisfied unless you put food on that plate and eat it. So there are other moral qualities that enables man to do good. One is a person who has cleansed himself, like one who washes a plate. And another person, he washes a plate and puts on food, for him to eat. So if you stop at the first stage, you have not achieved what you want. Still, you have to go an extra mile and put food for you to eat. So those are the two moral qualities that the Promised Messiah ﷺ is teaching us here. Actually, he says in his own words, and I quote, "Discarding evil comprehends those qualities through which a person tries that he should not do harm to the property, honor, or life of a fellow being by his tongue, or his hand, or his eyes, or by any other organ, nor should he design to do him such harm." The hadith of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, "Al-Muslimu man salima nasa," or in another narration says that "Al-Muslim man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi," that a Muslim, a true Muslim, is he from his words, man salima nasa min lisanihi, from his words of mouth, other people are safe, and from his works of hand, other people are safe. So the teachings of the Holy Quran are categorized in this way, that they first of all tell you to do such moral acts that will prevent you from harming others in any way. As the Promised Messiah said, that with your tongue, hands, eyes, even a signal of an eye can affect somebody. So those are one category of morals that help you to discard evil. And then other category, in the words of the Promised Messiah, where he said that those moral qualities that enable him to do good, he explains further, and he says, "The doing of good comprises all those moral qualities whereby a person tries to benefit a fellow being in respect of his property or honor by his tongue, or his hands, or his knowledge, or by any other means, or determined to make manifest his glory or honor, or overlooks a wrong that had been done to him, and thus benefits the perpetrator of the wrong by sparing him physical pain or financial imposition, or inflict such chastisement upon him in respect of the wrong which he is in reality a mercy for the wrongdoer." In the first part, you did not do wrong. But here, the Promised Messiah tells us, now you take a step of benefiting others. Now, you are putting food on the plate you washed. You try to benefit other people. You try to respect their property, honor with your tongue, with your hands, knowledge, or any other means.
We thank a lot our Sheikh Sahib for the wonderful teachings and for reminding us what is said within the book Islami Usul Ki Philosophy. Sheikh Sahib, the Quran talks about adultery. And also, we have been explained too the word and the meaning of adultery in the philosophy of the teachings of Islam by the Promised Messiah. Do you have anything that you can elaborate on what the Promised Messiah said?
The Promised Messiah alayhi salam tells us that there are 4 morals that deals with forsaking evil. And out of those 4 morals, I would like to explain only 2. The Promised Messiah says that the first of the moral qualities is called ihsan. That is to say, chastity. That is the first moral that deals with forsaking evil. It is just chastity. In his words, he explains and says, this expression connotes the virtue that is related to the faculty of the procreation of men and women. He says, those men and women would be called chaste who refrain altogether from illicit sex and all approaches to it. Although man and women are created to procreate, but remember we said that even other animals do the same. And we also do the same. But we cannot, what differentiates us from other animals is that we put reason to our doings and do things at the appropriate time and place. So the promised Messiah, alayhi salam, says that, first of all, if you are not up to the age of marriage, you should refrain from this. That's what the Holy Quran tells us. And even if you are up to that age of marriage, you should always refrain yourself from approaching people of different sex with the desire to, that desire, with the lust. You should always be, you should always limit yourselves. This will make you different from other animals. The promised Messiah, alayhi salam, says that the consequence of which is disgrace and humility for both parties in this world, and chastisement in the hereafter, and dishonor for both related to him. Now you will see, like, if one approaches towards somebody's wife, the ultimate end of all this, although this is not as much judged as adultery, but these are the preliminaries of it. So the effect of this will be that such a one who approaches another person's wife will lead to divorce with all its consequences. And this does not only affect the man and the woman, but also the children. If that separation is there, you know, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam tells us that abgadul halal at-talaq, that the most hateful thing among the lawful deeds is talaq. It tears apart that which was joined by God Almighty. We have decided to be together, but then we are separating, leaving the children in a big dilemma. Our families, which were united because we are together, are also in one way or the other separated. That's why the promised Messiah says that if you look at all these circumstances, then you will know why the Holy Quran told us not to go near adultery. That aside, the pain with which the husband lives is so much great. You've spent time with this person. And even the pain with which the woman also goes through because of the conduct of this villain is something that also destroys somebody's concentration, somebody's mentality, you know, stress. And all that is caused by only that little action that you may call, that you may see it to be very little, but it has caused a lot of things in the background. and even apparently. But the promised Messiah alayhi salam also tells us, it should be remembered that the moral quality of chastity would come into play when a person who possesses the capacity for the compensing of this particular vice restrains himself from indulging in it. Here, we are not saying that someone who is not capable of doing something should actually get merit of what he didn't do. For example, someone who is impotent, he cannot actually doesn't have that power to be with a wife, to be with a girl, and then we clap hands for him that this guy is just he has enabled himself to stay away from adultery. No, you should have that capacity of doing so, and then you control it. That's when we say that this person has actually done a great thing.
We have come to the end of our episode. Join us in the next episode as we deeply discuss the passions that the promised Messiah alayhi salam stated in the book Islami Usul Ki Philosophy. I remain Kadek Mumin Qasim. We meet in the next episode. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بالله حزت الفضل لا بدهائي كيف الوصول إلى مدارج شكره